Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be looking at 5 different ways that you can use your fuzz pedal. So I didn't want to create a video that was just another demo or review of an existing fuzz pedal that I own. I wanted to create a video that showed you perhaps alternate ways to use fuzz that you hadn't considered previously, because often fuzz gets categorized as that specialist pedal type that can only be used in very specific circumstances where you crank everything up to the max and just get this muddy wall of sound. It's an incredibly versatile type of pedal, and the one that I'm going to be showcasing today is the Mythos Golden Fleece. Now, the reason I'm using this particular fuzz is for a few reasons. Firstly, it's the first fuzz I ever owned. And secondly, it's incredibly simple. It doesn't get more basic than this. There is one knob on this pedal, which is output. Now, this type of simplicity, either in a pedal or any piece of gear, is that it forces you to eke out every tonal possibility with the limited features that you have. The same goes for single pickup guitars like a Les Paul Jr. When you have limited features, you have to explore every area of that piece of gear to get versatility out of it. And actually you do find that very simple bits of gear have a lot more flexibility than you perhaps expect. When we're talking about this pedal, it's not just whether you've got it at a low output or a high output. It's where you use it in your signal chain. It's what other pedals you pair it with. It's actually when you choose to use the pedal in your song or your mix. There's loads of different possibilities, so I'm going to use this pedal to show you 5 ways which I think are a really cool way to use your fuzz. Now, the first tip is about using fuzz as an always-on pedal. As you hopefully heard on the intro jam, I'd actually rolled off the volume on my Strat and then dialed it in gradually as the solo went on. Fuzzes aren't unique in this way, but they react a lot to the input signal that they're receiving. So by simply dialing back the volume on your guitar, you can really clean up your signal and just get a drastically different tone. So the second point is kind of related to the first, in the sense that some fuzz pedals, fuzz face types, clean up so well you get this sparkly high-end clarity when you dial back the volume. So it's actually a tip for getting a slightly different but equally beautiful clean tone. And I'm going to try and demonstrate this using a different guitar, a humbucker loaded guitar, because it's quite often associated that humbuckers don't pair with fuzz that nicely. But I find that if you're struggling to get an inspiring clean tone, actually using a fuzz pedal rolled off on the volume can help you achieve that. So the third point is one that I've discovered recently, and it's actually about using a character drive after the fuzz in your signal chain. Now what this does is it kind of controls the fuzz sound and focuses it more in the mid-range so that you don't get lost in a mix, or that fuzz sound doesn't get too out of control. What I find really helps with this is if you actually dial back the output of the fuzz and you boost it after the fact with your drive. And the effect that that has is that you end up having a clearer drive tone that kind of points to the fact that there's fuzz in there. It's great for hard rock or metal tones. Point is actually a recording tip. Now if you're into your kind of rock or metal music production, you may have come across a tip which is about running a baritone or a bass guitar through your guitar rig, low and center in the mix. By replicating what the guitars are playing, particularly in heavy riffs and big chorus sections, you get a much fuller mix and bigger sound. It really thickens everything out. But for this tip, you don't need to use a baritone or a bass, you can just use a really fuzzy guitar tone. So what we've got here is a mix loaded up from a Lockdown Company track, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you the mix as is, and then we're going to hear it with the rhythm fuzz track in isolation, and then we'll hear it without this track, and then we'll hear it me flicking this track in and out, and hopefully you can get a sense of what is really added by including this very fuzzy guitar low and center in the mix. So firstly, the track as is with everything included in the mix. And now we're going to hear the rhythm fuzz track in isolation. And now we're going to hear a longer snippet of the track where I'm going to be taking it in and out. So as you can tell, it's quite a subtle inclusion in the overall mix, but it adds body and depth and an overall fatness that just makes it great for rock and grunge music in particular. And the final tip? Well, I didn't want to make this a purely serious video. It is crank everything on full. We couldn't do a video on fuzz without saying turn everything to the max, so why not? There's 5 different ways that you can use fuzz. Hopefully there was something interesting here or something you hadn't come across previously, but I'd love to hear from you how you use your fuzz pedals. Put something in the comments below. Maybe there's a drastically different technique that you haven't seen anyone else use before that would be really cool to share. Either way, like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll catch you later.